Good evening. The following is a live broadcast of the City of Kingsport's Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting. Regular meetings are scheduled for the first and third Tuesdays of each month at 7 o'clock. In advance of each Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting, a copy of the agenda is available for inspection at the Kingsport Public Library in City Hall.
Good evening. Welcome to the Kingsport Board of Mayor and Aldermen business meeting. This is the meeting where we vote. Today's Tuesday, March 16th. First, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by the New Vision Youth, a great group of youngsters that Miss Johnny Mae Swaggerty is with them, and she directs the group and has for many years, and we appreciate it. But please remain standing for the invocation afterwards.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, young folks, and Miss Johnny Mae. And now Mr. Stan Leonard, Director of Mustard Seed Ministries, will lead us in prayer.
Good Father, we thank you for this beautiful day, for the return of spring and warmth. We thank you for the new seasons. But God, we thank you most for bringing us through this difficult year, and we pray that new and better things are all on our horizon. Thank you for keeping all of us safe through this time, and we just continue to pray your blessings upon this community and all the people who serve it. Lord, help us to serve it cheerfully. Help us to serve you in honorable ways. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Please be seated. Ms. Recorder, please call the roll.
Mayor Schultz,
Here.
Vice Mayor George,
Here.
Alderman Adler,
Here.
Alderman Cooper,
Here.
Alderman Duncan,
Here.
Alderman Alterman, Alderman Phillips.
By my reckoning, we have 5 of 7 of our members of the board present. One is present electronically, which is okay. Since the pandemic, for several months, we've been operating in a manner where sometimes members are electronic, sometimes they're here physically with us, and it's okay. The governor has allowed us to do that, and but we still have to make sure we're all on the same page here, so I'm required to read this statement and seek affirmation from my colleagues on the board. A determination by the board that meeting electronically with limited physical presence of the meeting of the public at the meeting is necessary to protect public health, safety, and welfare of all concerned in light of the COVID-19 virus. How say you, Alderman Cooper?
I affirm.
Thank you. Alderman Adler?
I affirm.
Thank you. Alderman Duncan?
I affirm.
Ms. Vice Mayor?
I affirm.
Thank you. I also agree that we're operating in an appropriate manner given the conditions of the pandemic and the governor's directive. Mr. City Manager, please proceed.
Okay, we have no recognitions or presentations on the agenda tonight, so we'll move to our first item, and that is to do an appointment to the Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals. It is recommended to reappoint Hiram Rash to this board. Hiram is an architect, and he fills one of the required positions on this board, so we'd ask that you approve this appointment, please.
Thank you. A very specialized board of which people with specific experience and job skills must be appointed. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Duncan. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Alderman,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye. It's approved by 5 votes. Next item.
Next item is our approval of minutes from the work session on March 1st, 2021, the strategic planning session on March 1st, 2021, and the business meeting on March 2nd, 2021. We'd ask that you approve these minutes as submitted, please.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Cooper, seconded by Alderman Duncan. Any discussion? It's approval of 3 different sets of minutes. If no discussion, please take the vote.
Alderman Adler, Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye, they all pass with all 5 members present. Let me pause for a second. Again, operating on the pandemic, there's a few rules that we're going by that are a little bit different. For instance, the votes we just had, we could normally do with a voice vote, but we're required under these conditions that every vote be a roll call vote. Then it's incumbent upon me as the mayor and the chair presiding over the meeting that I make clear who moved the item to be approved and who seconded it, and so I try to be clear by their names and positions. Now, we've come to the point in the meeting where if we had a lot of the public here, and by the way, we could have some public here. I know there's people watching this on TV or on the live streaming on the city website, but we would just limit the number to ensure that we had a certain amount of social distancing. But ordinarily, this would be the citizen comment section where the citizens could speak on any agenda items. That would be just the items we're covering tonight. And by the way, all these items have been briefed by the city manager and members of his staff one-on-one separately with each member of the board. Then we have a work sessions that follows those individual briefings, and then we have the meeting tonight where we vote. But I'm trying to get the point across here that we all do duly deliberate on these items before we take a vote. So, Mr. City Manager, please go ahead.
All right, the first item is an ordinance to prohibit smoking on the grounds of city playgrounds. This is an item that was recently approved by legislation by the state of Tennessee, authorizing local governments, should they choose, to be able to enact this to where we could restrict the use of tobacco, smoking of cigarettes on city playgrounds. This is an item that really originated, I would say, through Alderman Adler, through Healthy Kingsport, through our Park and Recreation Board. And then from the Park and Recreation Board, you have the recommendation before you here. Just a few clarifications. This speaks specifically in the state law to playgrounds. Also, last night we had some conversations regarding vaping. Please note there's an existing city ordinance already in place regarding vaping in city facilities and city playgrounds. So, with that being said, we'd ask that you approve this ordinance, please, on first reading.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Kingsport, Tennessee, adding a section to prohibit smoking on the grounds of a playground, to fix the penalty for the violation of this ordinance, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Duncan, seconded by Vice Mayor George. Any discussion?
Mayor, if I could just say a couple words quickly.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I just want to express that I'm grateful to the state of Tennessee for passing this legislation that allows us to ensure that children in our community have a healthy play environment. And as the city manager mentioned last night, we have no smoking ordinances currently that apply to some city recreational facilities, not all. And so this really is targeted at places where children are most likely to be exposed to secondhand smoke. One of the great joys for me right now is getting to serve on the Tobacco and Vaping Subcommittee for Healthy Kingsport, which is filled with lots of public health professionals who work every day on trying to address tobacco addiction in the community and create a healthier community. And this was a piece that actually came to my attention through some of the partner organizations on that subcommittee, and heard vocal support from both addiction specialists and pediatricians about this particular piece of legislation. And then just also want to know that stopping smoking is hard, and want to just reiterate that there are community resources out there to help people who wish to quit. And you can call 1-800-QUIT-NOW in order to reach those resources. But thank you to all of our community partners who helped bring this ordinance to fruition tonight.
Thank you, Jennifer. I don't know if I ever shared with you, my father was a general surgeon and a thoracic surgeon, and I can't begin to tell you how many times he operated on folks with lung cancer. But having said that, the intent here is not to keep people from smoking if they choose to smoke on a city park, in a city park, or on the green belt. The intent of this, and I will vote for it, in the affirmative for it, is to keep secondhand smoke away from children on the playground. That's the main intent here. Now, I would ask my fellow citizens, if they do smoke, that if they're smoking near another adult who's uncomfortable to smoke, that they'd simply move a little further away so they don't bathe people in secondhand smoke. I mean, I'm asking people to respect other people's aversion to that type of smoke and so forth. But our main intent is to keep secondhand smoke from children, and therefore I think that's an admirable goal, and I'll support this ordinance myself. Any other further discussion, board? Please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye. It passes 5-0. Next item.
Next item is to amend the fiscal year 2021 schools federal projects fund budget. Kingsport City Schools has 4 budget ordinances on tonight's agenda. Last night we heard from David Fry, as well as Director of Schools, Dr. Jeff Morehouse, regarding each one of these items. This first one has to do with federal dollars that they've received either through the CARES Act, and part of was specifically allocated for education, known as the ESSER dollars 2.0 for this case. And so we'd ask that you approve this ordinance for this budget amendment.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
In order to amend the FY 2021 school federal grant projects fund budget and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Adler. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Cooper. Any discussion? I will make one comment, and I don't need to keep repeating it because we got several other school items to consider. But our board, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, will have a joint meeting with the Board of Education on the 23rd of March to consider some of their capital requirements. Capital requirements, of course, are repairing buildings, constructing buildings if that were needed, that type of thing. And so looking forward to that. We want to maintain a great school system, both in our instruction and our facilities. Are there any other comments? If not, please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye, it passes 5-0. Next item.
Next item is to amend the fiscal year 2021 school special project funds budget. Again, you see the dollar adjustments there. The total net increase for this budget is $147,029, making the total amended at $1.2 million or $1,246,725. So again, we'd ask that you approve this ordinance to the special projects fund budget for Kingsport City Schools.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend the FY 2021 school special projects fund budget and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Duncan. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye, the item passes 5-0. Next item.
Next item is to amend the fiscal year 2021 general purpose school fund budget. This is an increase into that budget by $402,173. You see the various things that are being adjusted there, from CARES Act technology funds, donations for playgrounds, part of Northeast State dual enrollment, and BB Excel chemistry grant. So we'd ask that you approve this budget ordinance for the general purpose school fund.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend the general purpose school fund budget for this fiscal year ending June 30, 2021, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Duncan. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye, the item passes 5-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is to amend the fiscal year 2021 general projects fund budget. This is also for Kingsport City Schools. You can see that the money there from several completed projects, as well as interest earnings they've received on projects that have been bonded in past years. So in addition to that, it's a transfer of donations for playground improvements. So a variety of things here. I will say, as we kind of wrap up these four, it is not uncommon this time of year for there to be various budget adjustments for the Kingsport City School budget as additional dollars, grant dollars comes in, sometimes even donations. A lot of what we've discussed here tonight and approved on first reading, or we'll consider approving on first reading, kind of paves the way for some of the work that we will be discussing next week in the joint meeting that the mayor alluded to regarding the school's capital. So again, this was just part of this process to kind of set the stage for next year, as well as kind of wrapping up this year as well.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank our citizens, Mr. City Manager. Several folks contributed to Lincoln School playground improvement, as well as a couple of years ago to the Johnson Elementary School playground improvement. So we've got some really civic-minded, big-hearted people, and we appreciate that. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend the general projects fund budgets for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye, the item passes 5-0. Next item.
Next item is to amend the water project fund. This is a budget ordinance in the amount of $2 million. This is going to our master plan water upgrade project. I'm sorry, from the master plan water upgrade project to the meter replacement project. We are in the process of replacing water meters. Earlier this fiscal year, you all approved another item similar to this for the purchase of meters. It's about $300 a water meter. We have some of these meters that have begun to fail within our service area, and in order to have those read accurately and be able to provide quality customer service, we're asking that you transfer these dollars, allowing us to then move forward at our next meeting with a resolution for the purchase of the meters.
And I thought we had a good discussion about water meters, but I guess, and Mr. McReynolds out there, I guess the the message to our citizens, if you notice that your water bill has gone up some unusual manner and you can't figure it out yourself, call us and we can maybe help you figure it out. That'd be a true statement? Mr. McReynolds affirms with a thumbs up.
That's the Zoom, yes, I agree.
Okay, well, thank you.
Great presentation.
We don't want to put too much pressure on him, right? Okay, lost my track. I guess, Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend the water project fund budget for the year ending June 30, 2021, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Alderman Adler. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye, the item passes 5-0. The next item.
Next item is one of several items you have on the agenda for second and final reading. This item is to vacate a portion of road right-of-way off of North Eastman Road. This is right-of-way off of 1777 North Eastman Road. This will actually pave the way for some new construction there. So we'd ask that you approve on second reading to vacate this right-of-way.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to vacate a section of public right-of-way located off of North Eastman Road, situated in the city of Kingsport, 11th Civil District of Sullivan County, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Duncan. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye, the item passes 5-0. Mr. C. Manager.
Next item is to amend the fiscal year 2021 general purpose school fund budget. Again, this is an item on second and final reading. It was necessary for the school board to pre-order over 1,300 Chromebooks, simply based upon the delivery time of over 90 days. And so we'd ask that you approve this ordinance on second and final reading.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend the FY 2021 general purpose school fund budget and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Cooper, way down on the end. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye. The ordinance passes with 5-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is a budget adjustment ordinance for various funds in fiscal '21. This is part of a fairly significant budget ordinance that will adjust our revenues by $2.2 million, a little more than that actually. Great bit of discussion on this last time. Greatly appreciate the support of the board to put us in this position, and so we'd ask that you approve this ordinance on second and final reading, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend various fund budgets for the year ending June 30, 2021, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Cooper, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? If not, please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye. The ordinance passes 5-0. Next item.
Next item is renewing the award of bid for the purchase of water and wastewater chemicals. In 2018, we opened bids for various chemicals used by our water and wastewater treatment plant. We had the opportunity to continue to buy off of that bid, assuming the pricing did not change significantly. Both the folks in Public Works as well as our purchasing department are recommending that we move forward with this, and thus we'd ask that you approve this resolution, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution renewing the award of bid for purchase of chlorine to JCI Jones Chemical for coagulant to G20 Technologies for zinc orthophosphates to Keras Corporation, for coagulant to Gulbertson Manufacturing Inc., for polymer to Coastal Water Technologies LLC, and for hydrofluoric acid to Univar USA, sodium permanganate to Shannon Chemical, and authorizing the city manager to execute purchase orders for the same.
Did you repeat those natural
I'd be
curves?
happy to.
That's okay. That's okay. All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Duncan moved the item. Is there a second?
Second.
The vice mayor seconded the item. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper, Aye. Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Short.
Aye. The resolution passes 5-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is to apply for an Appalachian Resource Commission grant and enter into an agreement with Washington County, Tennessee to extend sewer service to Valley Brook Farms. Many of you all will remember Valley Brook Farms as being owned and operated by Eastman. Eastman has since donated that property to East Tennessee State University. And in a partnership between ETSU, Washington County, and City of Kingsport, we're glad to be able to receive or to apply for this grant and to receive this grant that will allow us, in partnership with those partners, to be able to extend sewer out to Valley Brook. The city will provide the survey, design, engineering, the bidding, and contract management, along with the necessary easements. The total out-of-pocket cost for the city of Kingsport is $53,000. $25,000 is roughly what we anticipate the easements being for. The remainder is the fee for First Tennessee Development District to manage the grant. As we discussed last night and kind of leading up to this, we've looked at the ROI on this investment. It's less than 5 years with the potential of other customers, in addition to Valley Brook being able to come on board. So again, we're glad to be able to work with Washington County ETSU on this partnership.
Thank you. It's a great example of regional cooperation, and you described it as a biotech business incubator. So sounds like there's some promise there.
This is another good opportunity for entrepreneurship and the growth of that within our region, and again, in partnership with ETSU.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary and proper to apply for and receive an Appalachian Regional Commission grant for the Valley Brook Facility Sewer Extension Project, and approving an agreement with Washington County for this extension, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement and all other documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of the agreement.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by the vice mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Cooper. Is there any discussion?
Well, I just, want to point out again, as both of you all have, this is another way in which our utilities departments, our fire, our police, they all work so well and smoothly within this whole region. And it just goes, this type of cooperation goes on all the time, and it's so normal for them to do this that we don't acknowledge it and we don't recognize what true regionalism this is, because they have always worked so well together in doing projects like this. And I want to commend the city workers in the city for always making this transaction and doing such a good job to be regional.
Yeah, that's a great point, and Mr. McReynolds could go on all day about how the water and sewer operations could actually expand service if need be to outlying areas. So we have a lot of capacity. So let's take the vote then.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Short.
Aye. The resolution passes 5-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is to approve artist agreements on city-owned underpasses along the Greenbelt. Last night we talked in a little bit of detail on this. And this is really a great partnership between a grant we've received from the Tennessee Arts Commission, our local artists, the Greenbelt Committee, Cultural Arts Office, and the Public Art Committee to be able to do this. This is we've often looked at how we could add art along the Greenbelt and being able to look at these two underpasses. Michael, if I recall, we were looking at Eastman Road and Clinchfield. Is that correct? So we should hopefully start seeing that work begin soon. And as a result of that, I think people will be very pleased with the addition of that artwork. So I'd ask you all to approve this resolution, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving artist agreement with various local artists for murals along the Greenbelt at the Eastman Road and Clinchfield Road underpasses, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement and all other documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of the agreement.
Thank you. And Mr. Borders is getting to know all the artists, right?
Yeah, he is.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Duncan, seconded by Alderman Adler. Any discussion?
I want to thank Michael for getting the pictures out to us today on the second set. I think it's really exciting and a neat project.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those look
So
really
thank you
good.
for getting that. That's cool.
Okay. Any more discussion? Please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye, the resolution passes 5-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is to amend agreement with the Tennessee Department of Transportation, TDOT, for the Main Street redevelopment project. I'm going to tee this up for Ryan McReynolds. I've asked him to kind of prepare a presentation on this item. And give me just a second here, Ryan.
Is that Ryan in that tent there?
That's him.
Testing the pointer. Good. All right, so it's been a long time coming, and we're on the cusp of quite a bit of work on Main Street. I know the city manager has mentioned to you all when we go a certain route and we leveraged the state transportation dollars. Well, there's a lot of benefit to it because it's an 80-20 mix, but there's a lot of strings attached. And so I was talking to Mr. Thompson today, Michael, and I said, give me an example of a project that's fairly easy to deliver, a start date, and then when we finished it, when we went through the MPO process, and he discussed the East End Greenbelt that's brand new, opened late fall of 2020, and we received the check. I remember the ceremony we had at Exchange Place in 2014. So that's almost a one-lane road on green build. So you can imagine how complicated having Main Street put together, taking people's utilities, bringing them underground, dealing with each property owner has been. But the end product is going to be amazing, and we appreciate the board and the public's patience with us. This started when there was a clear recognition that the street needed to be repaved. And really it grew from, well, can we take the money that the city residents were going to invest in repavement, leverage it with the TDOT money, and build a corridor that's in keeping with the corridor redevelopment study, all the different things that are trying to make downtown great. And even outside of this, in the evenings, weekday or weeknight, you'll see quite a bit of activity that has begun to migrate on the Main Street. So this will complement it greatly. The scope of it is really from the Clinchfield Main Street intersection to the Sullivan Street. We have showed these in the past, but it's real good just to remind everybody what the end product will look like. Not only are we repaving the street, we're fixing what has been failing underneath the street, but we're building a much more aesthetically and pedestrian-friendly street. So much better parking. This is downtown, kind of in front of, I think that's Blades or Wilson Hall that we would be in front of. But it shows you the crosswalks and some of the pedestrian improvements and improved parking, and as we move down to the Broad Street, you can see kind of a placemaking at the Broad Street intersection, not a true roundabout, but something that will be stamped into the asphalt to kind of give it a spot. And it's similar to what we saw there, a lot of on-street parking, a lot of benches and better street lighting for pedestrians at night. And then really a lot of the improvements to the aesthetics are going to go from Cherokee Street on to Sullivan Street. And right now there's really just not much. The sidewalk is busted up in lots of places. Day and night, there are a lot of people that run or walk this route. So this will, what we did is enhance this corridor all the way down. That's Allen Road, so that's near the fire station. A lot of activity there at the Y where TNT and close to the dugout is now. A lot of crossing of the street that occurs right now as kids are accessing those different facilities, trying to tighten the road up to make it a safer environment for them. And then as we move on down in front of Katz, and then the intersection itself will have a little bit of an adjustment to make it easier to navigate. Basically, we're taking a lane of Sullivan Street and dedicating it for the main street, so you're not having to merge into a lane on Sullivan Street. But that's a scope. You all have seen that in the past. One reason this has been a long process is we've involved the public from day one through the MPO process, and not only the public that's downtown, the stakeholders along it, but also the general public to get comments on this project. And so this has been presented many, many different times. One of the questions that has been asked is, how in the world are you all going to build this? And it's going to be done in two different ways. The core downtown will be built block by block. And we're going to work with the property owners that have businesses to ensure that there's access to their business. One blessing we have is a liaison to those property owners that already exist organically, and that's DKA. She has already been in contact with us and is going to be keeping her eyes and ears out for business impact. We will hear about it, but she's going to be at a much higher level, concentrating on our businesses able to continue what they're doing very well, and she's going to let us know when we're going to have to adjust if need be. Could be signage to direct people. It gets confusing in construction zones. We will do whatever it takes to make this as seamless as a process as possible for those business owners. So downtown will be block by block. Each block will probably take 2 to 3 months at a time. And then as we move from that, I'll show you what we're going to do from Cherokee to Sullivan in a second. But the full project time frame is about 24 months. So we will be able to open up certain areas of it. It will progress and be opened at different times. But we plan to bid it this late spring, so in the June time frame, and then begin construction in the summer. So that would begin, and a 24-month calendar of construction would occur. So downtown block by block. When we get to Cherokee Street, we're actually going to go one side of the road all the way and then the other. And actually, I've shown these backwards. We're going to start on the Cherokee to Sullivan first. And one reason we're doing one side of the road and then the other is that is the area where we're bringing all the utilities underground. And to build it, we're going to have the conduit all built at once. And the sewer lines and the water lines are all done at once. And so we're going to see right off the bat, this is where they're going to begin. And you're going to start seeing some major changes with the view shed of Main Street at that point. But from Cherokee on down, we're going to go one side, north side, and then the south side, or vice versa. It's really up to the contractor. Let me think if there's anything else, and Chris can you think of anything? This is always a great picture to kind of center our minds as to what to expect when it's all said and done. I said a lot of words of pedestrian friendly, improvements to the road. This really is much better to describe what the end product is than all the words I've stated. You can see the power line, the transmission lines has already been moved. Everyone realizes that. and how it will kind of get integrated into the streetscape as well.
That's Cumberland and Main intersection.
I believe you're
Headed-
correct,
headed
yes.
Down east toward Sullivan.
Yeah, with the transmission lines installed, there's actually been some improvements to the view shed. There was a pole on the corner in front of High Voltage that had all kinds of lines on it that's totally gone now. So there has been improvements, but it still looks very odd to have poles in the middle of the street. So when we get done, it will be just a vast improvement to what we have now.
Just 2 points that I will add to what Ryan has said. I think when we first started looking at this, probably, Ryan, 6 years ago,
Yeah.
the conversation at that time was just resurface the street. And as Ryan discussed, we have structural failure throughout Main Street. It is what is referred to as a monolithic pour, and so it's basically a series of bridges, if you will. And once it fails, it just sinks into the dirt underneath it. There's not a good geotechnical structure under that, if you will. In addition to that, 80% of this project cost is being funded through the MPO. And so we're able to do this work, and really significant work, to enhance what is now the main gateway into downtown. When downtown was built, this was not the main gateway, so we're able to do this, and I think it will really have, these pictures are great, but as we have said, and definitely said yesterday and today, the finished product that we'll have as a result of this work will be something that everyone will be proud of.
So the action you all are taking tonight is to adjust our contract. This is very routine, and TDOT's on board. It just moves the date. We've had to do this many, many times for all the different contracts we've had with TDOT.
Well, the city manager just pointed out that it wasn't merely a matter of repaving that road. You're gonna move tons and tons of dirt.
I think Ryan said it very well a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about this. This is a utility project, and at the end, we're going to have a new road on top of it. The bulk of what we are doing is utility lines by AEP, Spectrum, CenturyLink, and then underneath that, we also have our own utilities. So it's extensive utility work, most of which needs to take place before the road work can.
And as I recall, our city portion, the board funded several months ago.
Yes.
So, board, do y'all have any questions or concerns for Mr. McReynolds or the city manager?
I feel like we voted on this 100 times by now, but
So you'll see it again.
yeah.
A few more
I was
times.
starting to think it's like Memorial Boulevard, and maybe it'll be my lifetime, and maybe it won't. But I'm excited that we have a deadline, and hopefully this one will be good.
It meshes nicely with what's gonna happen at Brickyard Park.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah.
you good,
Looks
Wes?
very good too. The concern now is, or the feedback I get, and I know the vice mayor does too, is while we've got the light poles stuck out in the middle of the road, people don't understand that, so, but it looks great when you see this, so it'll all come around.
Yes, sir.
Any more for Ryan? I gotta get our attorney to publish this. Mr. Attorney.
A resolution approving amendment number 1 to agreement number 160028 with the Tennessee Department of Transportation for the Main Street redevelopment project, authorizing the mayor to execute the amendment and all other documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of the amendment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Cooper and Vice Mayor. Can we have 2 seconds? Any discussion? If not, please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye, the item passes 5-0. Mr. City Manager.
Now move into the consent agenda. We have 4 items on the consent agenda tonight. I'll read through these. If you'd like any pulled for further discussion or clarification, please let me know. First item is to apply for and receive a law enforcement agency highway safety grant from the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Second item is to apply for and receive a Tennessee Highway Safety Office Coordinator Grant for participation in their law enforcement liaison program. Third item is to execute signature authorization allowing the chief of police or his designee to complete grant reports as required by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office for the Tennessee Highway Safety Office FY22 Coordinator Grant. And the fourth item is to execute signature authorization allowing the chief of police or his designee to complete grant reports as required by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office for the Tennessee Highway Safety Office Fiscal 22 grant. I will also note that in both of these grants on here, they require no match, and this is a fairly common thing. I appreciate the police department continually going after these grants to help offset our operations. So we'd ask that you approve these 4 items unless there is questions or comments on any one.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Vice Mayor moved the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Adler. Any discussion or desire to pull one or more of the items out for separate discussion? If not, please take the vote.
Alderman Adler,
Aye to all.
Alderman Cooper,
Aye to all.
Alderman Duncan,
Aye to all.
Vice Mayor George,
Aye to all.
Mayor Schultz.
Aye to all 4, therefore all 4 pass and a 5-0 vote. Mr. C. Mander.
Well, I think it was about 12 months ago that we held our first Zoom meeting as part of our efforts and other efforts being made across the state to help prevent the spread of the coronavirus. About 10 months ago, we had a presentation on our budget, and when you look back at those dates now a year later, which everyone seems to be doing as they kind of reflect on the last year, there's definitely a lot 12 months ago that we didn't know. There's definitely a lot 10 months ago that we didn't know as it pertained to our budget. Needless to say, it has been a tough year. We've definitely taken it on the chin in many different areas. But also at the same time, I really appreciate the resilience of the staff, the work that they have done each and every day to get us through this. Tonight, you all voted on second and final reading for a budget ordinance that, I will be honest with you, 10 months ago, I didn't think that we would be at. As you recall, we took a tremendous amount of precautions, very conservative budget, pulling money from our fund balance, setting it aside as an insurance policy if we needed it, and also just wondering, how we would fare as the pandemic went on. So to be in this position now, to be able to make the adjustment we did from a revenue standpoint is pretty significant. It's definitely something that a lot of other cities have not been able to do. But we said back in May of last year, we wanted to start off with, if you will, the empty bucket approach, with the understanding that we could fill those buckets as we went forward. We were still able to do a tremendous amount of capital this year, and this adjustment also allows us to address other issues within our operating budget as we, believe it or not, begin to close out this fiscal year, and very soon we will be having a conversation regarding fiscal 22 budget, and we hope fiscal 22 is a much brighter year for us all. So I say that 2 parts. One, just my great appreciation for the staff for the work they've done. It's not been easy. They know that. We all know that. But also thank you all for the tremendous amount of support. I know I mentioned this last time at the board meeting as we looked at this budget ordinance for the very first time. But I do greatly appreciate you all, your commitment to be standing with us as we kind of work through all of the adversity that the last 12 months has thrown at us. So thank you, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start with Alderman Adler. Miss Jennifer.
Excellent. All right. Well, I have 2 things I wanted to mention this evening. The first, earlier this evening, I talked about the power of partnerships, the partnerships that we get seen in particular through Healthy Kingsport and some of the great work that's come out of there. I want to have another partnership. This might be my favorite partnership of all time. It is the partnership with the East County, a very important person at this time of year. So those of you might know that the Kingsport Peak Association, which is the Young Professionals Association, an opportunity for the Easter Bunny, through a partnership that they've made, to come and actually go ahead and just scatter eggs all over your yard for Easter morning. A fantastic thing for parents who maybe, coffee calls your name early in the morning. This is a really unique example of getting of a way to engage community. And so if you are interested in working with the Easter Bunny here, the deadline to order is March 26th, and the number to call is 423-392-8820. Kudos to Kingsport Peak for such a creative and engaging idea. I love it. The second thing I wanted to mention, leadership program through the Kingsport Chamber, which is a great opportunity for its rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Leadership skills, get to connect with other people in the community, learn a little bit more about our city along the way. They're currently accepting applications. The application deadline is April 16th, 2021. You can complete the application at kingsportchamber.org. But you know a really outstanding young person, just want to encourage you to reach out to them and encourage them to apply. Sometimes I know it's just a kind word and encouragement from someone that really makes a difference in the life of a young person to believe that they can do things. So go encourage a young person in your life. And that's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Bessie?
I want to mention two things real quick. I said, if you know me, you know my passion is children. And I'm very active in the Isaiah 117 House of Sullivan County. And I want to be sure that keeps in front of the people in Kingsport. In the first 14 days of March, we had 20 visitors at our house. So we had a sibling group of 5 come in. We've had children that had to spend the weekend because they couldn't find placement. So if you have the opportunity, if you don't know about Isaiah 117, please take the time to learn about it. And they're always looking for, right now we're the spring clothing. We had to open the house, and we had a lot of things at Christmas with winter clothes, but right now spring clothes are a great need, especially in the older children, and teenage sizes. So gift cards are the best thing to get, because I was there last week and took a gift card out because a little girl wanted some new shoes. She didn't have a shoe. She needed new shoes and wanted pizza. So just always keep Isaiah 117 in your thoughts. It's amazing. Like the other day, I had a really rough day, and I got called about 4 o'clock because there was a little girl coming there at 5:30, and my husband said, "Betsy, why don't you just stay home?" And I said, I've had a rough day, but she's had a rougher day. So I stayed there till 11 o'clock 2 nights in this month, just staying with children that need someone just to love them a little bit. And also with the playground, I said I've become a Kingsport playground connoisseur. We have grandchildren in this weekend, so we frequented all the playgrounds a couple of times. We went to Borden Park today, and I was just impressed. As you pass them, you don't really think about them, but the playgrounds on both sides of Borden Park, and it was just so much fun to see my 3-year-old and 5-year-old grandchildren play. In with that, the argument for the no smoking, that we just passed earlier today. I mean, that's important, but smoking out in public, outside, the secondhand smoke is an issue, but 2 other issues are, Chief Boyd mentioned last night, the people that throw cigarette butts down that cause smoldering and the wood chips or damage to the play surface. And also, the cigarette butts that are left on the ground for children to pick up and, to put in their mouth or just to play with is a huge health hazard. That's not just the secondhand smoke, so those things are equally as important. So that's all.
Is that it? Well, good comments. Darrell?
Just to kind of what the city manager said, if you look back probably last May and looked at kind of what we were facing, and which was part of that was the unknown, and then what we've been able to do and rebound from that has been pretty incredible. And so the city manager and the staff has done an amazing job to kind of get us where we're at today to get especially back on our budget in line. It took a very conservative approach and is very much appreciated, and I know our citizens appreciate that as well. A couple other things quickly. Vaccines, there's other places it's opening up for vaccines. I urge people to get their vaccines, certainly if they want, and I urge them to do that. And we've got Markham's, Piney's, both my Walmarts are doing them now, Walgreens. There's other places doing them as well. So even if you're not of age or have health issues, you can put your name on the list, and if they've got extra shots, they'll certainly call you to come and get your shot. So hope people can take advantage of that. St. Patrick's Day is here and upon us tomorrow, so there's a lot of activities across town, and just hope people's very responsible.
You got the jump on it with your green tie.
That's right. So hope people's very responsible in their actions as they get out, but we want people to have fun and be out, so that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Vice Mayor.
Well, just the Friday, we had Arbor Day at John Adams, and we got to plant another tree. And my colleague
I'll let you
Darrell
down.
Duncan let me down because he normally, in wind, rain, snow, has always been there, and we had a pretty day and he doesn't show up. But
I got a text though.
yeah, this is our 35th year as a tree city, and planting a tree is one of the things we do to keep that designation. And we had some of the kids from John Adams were able to come out and participate, and it was a very nice little ceremony, even though didn't have my friends there, but Ryan came and participated. And also on Ryan, I want to remind everybody that next week is Trash Week. This is a huge week in my life, and I think everybody should partake. Betsy talks about children being important. Throwing out things of your house and putting it on the street is what's truly important to me. And I know a lot of people have done a lot of home projects, done a lot of spring cleaning, remodeled, have a lot of got new furniture, whatever. All your stuff can go to the street next week, except a few items that Ryan's going to come up and tell us about.
The hazardous items.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the hazardous, TDEC manages those, and they we try and advertise when those are. And I will explain, next week we're going to pick up extra garbage beside the garbage can. In the 2-week period, which is your normal grabber truck day, will be everything else. So it will be cleared out in that 2-week period. But next week will be the specific if you have stuff. So if you have questions, whether it goes in garbage or grabber, just go ahead and put it out next week, and it'll get collected at some point in the next 2 weeks. Whether if it's yard waste, it will be collected with the normal grabber. If it's a sofa, it'll be with the normal grabber. If it's just bags of garbage, it'll be all collected next week.
With the bags of garbage, do you need to separate them a certain distance from your garbage can?
Yeah, but get them a little away from, you can't pile around the garbage can or we can't get to the garbage can. Right. So definitely separate with about 3 feet away from the garbage cart so we can always service it.
I am really excited.
All right,
so,
thank you.
And then just a shout out to T.O. that we hope for a speedy recovery and that he gets back to join us and that we miss him.
Absolutely. Is that it?
That's it.
And prayers for Dee too. His wife was tested positive with COVID, so she's struggling too. So I think Dee and
all in
Tommy
our
both
prayers.
need our prayers.
Yes. Tommy'd be excited the way the DV baseball team started yesterday. So, well, Mr. City Manager, this has been an odd year. It was the year where you started getting some gray hair.
Yeah.
And for good reason, though. So let me expound a little bit on the city manager's remarks. You've all probably read about or heard on TV about the $1.9 trillion bill that Congress passed. I can't even envision $1.9 trillion. And some money will come down to the city. It'll come through the feds to the state, to the city. Both separately to the education department and then over the other side of the city that the city manager oversees. And we're going to take a look at that and see how it affects our overall revenue and what the best use it for. The city revenues have been pretty good, all things considering, during a year of a pandemic. But I don't necessarily take as much joy as I might normally in that, because sales tax, for instance. Our sales tax revenues collection's been pretty good. A large amount of that is attributable to people ordering things at online from a location far away from here. Now, the city may profit in terms of city government collecting the sales tax coming down through the state, but it doesn't help our local businesses, our brick and mortar business. And that's what I'm really concerned. We're still sorting through, what businesses closed permanently, forever, which ones will come back, how many people have gotten laid off, but there's a chance of them getting a new job. We're still sorting through all that as a community. And for instance, the city has been very helpful to people that were having trouble meeting their utility bills. But we're not totally at normal, but the good news is things are getting better. But we're going to sort through all these unusual money situation we have, and remember, like all public dollars, they have to be accounted for very strictly. We're subject to audits that we have every year. The state comptroller can take a look at what the city's doing and all that. So we want to spend the money wisely and account for every penny. The trash week. I'm glad you remembered that, Ms. Vice Mayor.
Very important to me.
Yeah, it is. It's a big week in the city. We're at the point of the meeting where I would normally reach out to our citizens and ask them if they would like to communicate with us. And I would ask them to speak on issue-oriented items. We wouldn't talk about the spring football season or the March Madness or anything like that. But we would talk about anything that affected the city government or the community at large. Instead of visitors, and we could have visitors, we got our whole side of the courthouse here that we could have a courtroom that we could have visitors, and we'll be back here, in the first Tuesday in April. But I do have fine city staff folks here, and I appreciate what they do. And we're going to keep pressing through this pandemic till we whipped it, and it's a success. So unless my colleagues have any final remarks, I would say we're adjourned.
Thank you for joining us for this evening's Kingsport Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting. This program has been a production of the City of Kingsport in cooperation with MC Productions, Milligan College, and Charter Communications.